Highness, my name is Wisdom Mahaji. Yes. Director, Ghana Tourism Authority.
Okay.
You know, we are preparing for Pana First and Emancipation once again. And it's all about this slavery, transatlantic slavery that happened in the past. And history made us aware that the slavery has actually started from here. And we even have a camp which we can refer to as a holding point or a warehouse where slaves that are captured in the community are kept before they are transported or they are moved to Salaga slave market and all the way to Cape Coast thereabout or Central Region. Today you made us aware that you are descendants of one of the captured slaves. So this afternoon we are just here to hear that detailed story. How did it all happen? And then today you become a kingmaker or the royal that you are. So that is where we are here.
Thank you very much, and you're most welcome.
Thank you.
I'm really grateful to have you in my palace, and also to hear the story of my late grandfather. When they talk about slavery, it touches my heart, and I begin to thank God for what He has done to my grandfather. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been existing today. I'm told by my father that his father, the late Naba Salifu, hails from Bongo, precisely from Adaboya. He was taken hostage from Adaboya when he was below 20 by a group from Mampuku who were slave raiders. According to my father and according to his father, the raiders got to their house in Adaboya. When they were getting close, his stepmothers, he had lost both mother and father. And so his mother's rivals, when they saw them coming, they ran inside the rooms with their children and locked the rooms, and leaving him at his own mercy. And he decided to climb a baba tree that was standing in front of the house, thinking that the people wouldn't see him, not knowing they had already spotted him. So he was on top of the tree when they arrived in front of the house, and then just called him to come down. So he came down, and they asked him, where are the family members? And he said when they saw them coming, they all ran away. He said, okay, he should follow them. So he followed them, round, took him to many areas, got some people in addition, and then they went with him to Mampuru. It was when they got to Gambaga that he realized that this was a different place called Mampuru. And he was given to the Gambaga chief to serve as a slave. So he was in the chief's palace working and doing all the necessary jobs. When one day, for some few years, then one day the chief said they should go and buy him salt from Salva. So he was chosen among other slaves to go for the salt. So they left Gambaga on foot to Salga to buy the salt. And it was when they got to Salga that they saw British people white people, they came and then captured them. Those who even went with them were all captured. So they captured them, took them to Accra, and then they sent them to Sierra Leone through the ship. So it was when they got to Sierra Leone that they kept them in a camp. So they were in the camp. Uh, One day, the British people, whenever they come around to see them, they saw him and said, realized that no, he was the youngest and had a travel marks. So they said no, if they leave this small boy amongst the grown-ups, they will molest and kill him. So they took my grandfather to their camp. So he was with them, washing their uniform, and eventually learned how to cook for them, and could now speak English. My grandfather could speak English like he had gone to school, according to my father. So he could now communicate with the whites. So one day, they started asking him questions, where he came from and all that, and he was able to tell them where he came from. So they knew that he came from Ghana. So they asked him, will he be able to take them to where he actually came from? And he said yes. So one fateful day, they set off with the one Captain Nash. He came with Captain Nash to Ghana, and then from Ghana, he brought Captain Nash all the way to Tamale, and from Tamale to Gambaga. The British man was carried on a palanquin, and anywhere if they were getting closer to the nearest village, they will announce. Then the people will come out and carry. And he rode a white horse, wearing red with a British flag in front, leading them.
That's your grandfather.
My grandfather, yes. He was then called Salifu Bongo. Salifu Bongo. When you go to archives, you will find it. Salifu Bongo and Captain Nash. And according to my father, it was around 1901 that he brought the white man to Upper Region, the first to bring the white man to Upper Region. So when they got to Gambaga,
I think he led
the first
to
man.
the
Yes,
first to lead that
yes,
white.
yes. He led the first white man to Upper Region. So when they got to Gambaga, they left Gambaga again en route to Bolga, and they got to Zorro. Zorro was their entry point. According to him, when they got to Zorro, the chief saw and his elders were seated. When they saw them coming, the chief and the elders ran away. It was only one person who was left sitting back. And they got there and asked him where the chief was. And he said when the chief saw them coming, he ran away. So he said, so who are you? And he called his name as a Finra. So he said, okay, follow us. We want to settle at the hilltop, where you now have the custom office. That was where he went and settled with his master, the white man, so Captain Nash. So they settled there, and that became the first administrative center for the region. So he was there. It was from Zorungu that he brought the white man to Bongo. And that time, the chief by then was one Kebule, who was the chief of Bongo when he brought him. So he saw him, and that was the time the family now got to realize that he was still alive. I think by that time he was then almost getting to 40 years old. So it was at the palace that the group of people who came around to see the white man, that he saw my grandmother and asked the chief that who is this lady? And the chief said that's his uncle's daughter. And he told the chief that he wants the woman. So he should let them bring her to Zorgo for him. So my grandmother heard that, and so didn't even go home. From there, she ran to Zio across the border. So the following day, the chief sent to the house asking for her that Salifu Bongo wants their daughter, only to be told that she didn't come home. So he asked one man, his house is just behind my palace. He gave my father this land to build just behind the palace. It's called One Ababiri. So the Kebule asked him to go to Zio and bring her. So he went and she was there. And he brought her on the horse. Then the chief authorized her to send her to Zolo and give to Salifu. So that was how he got married.
That resulted to marriage.
He married my grandmother. And my grandmother also told me this story when she was alive. I met her before she died. My grandmother died just somewhere around there. She died in 1980. So my father from Soru, he stayed for some time, and his master was transferred to Tamale to take over the one who was in Tamale. So Captain Nash went and took over from that man, and then that was where my grandfather remained in Tamale, and was then inscribed the Paramount Chief Tamale by Bubenara. So my grandfather was there. Then that was where my father and all his brothers were born. So it was in 1956 when the late Senator died. There was a vacant scheme in Bongo. My grandfather went straight from Tamale to Nalerigo to contest for the Bongo schemes and lost. So when he lost, it was in the same 56 that he died. Then my father brought the corpse to Bongo, to Adaboya, and buried. Then went back to Tamale, and in 1957 I was born. Then in 58, my father decided to come home finally to settle. So that is the long and short of our story.
Thank you very much, Your Royal Highness.
Thank you.
So, largely, we all believe that our own people were part and parcel of this trade.
Yes.
Your story has just confirmed
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Because when your grandfather was taken away from here, he went to serve in a palace.
Yes.
Probably where the I would not say British, but the white skinned people,
their own people.
It's like they are storing them.
Yes.
When they get a sizable number, then they move them to the market. Yes. Today, yes, true that today you are seated here as your Royal Highness. Do we blame the white still, or do we blame ourselves? This has been a debate. People is like, the white did not perpetrate this act voluntarily. We supported. That made the ground fertile for them to do whatever they wanted to do. So if today we are crying foul, who should we blame?
Okay, I forgot to indicate the date that or the year that my grandfather they were taken hostage from Salga to Sierra Leone to form Freetown. That was the abolition of the slave trade in 1875. So it was in 1875 that they were captured and sent to Sierra Leone. So they went and formed Freetown in Sierra Leone. But back to your question. For me, I think generally the whites should be held responsible, because even if our own people, were being were doing the act, they were not selling them outside our jurisdiction. They were not selling them outside Ghana. It was the whites who came and showed interest in the people and bought them and took them outside the country. So the whites should be held responsible. So assuming that the idea of abolishing slave trade did not come, my grandfather uh, would have come back to Gambaga after buying the salt. He would have come back to Gambaga and maybe he would have remained in Gambaga and eventually would be identified a native of Bongo.
Probably we wouldn't have even gone to Gambaga for salt.
That
the salt was just a ploy.
Salga.
Yes,
Salga.
Salaga.
They were sent to Salga to buy salt.
He might not even go to Salaga in the first place.
That
It's
is
just
it.
a plan.
Just a plan.
Go to the market.
And then they will go and sell them. That is it. That was the story they only gave them. Go and buy salt. But the essence, the motive of it was to go and sell them. And they were only lucky that it was at the time they had agreed that they should abolish slave trade, and they took them to Serenity. So I think the whites should be held responsible. So several people had already been repatriated to other places.
So if today you have an opportunity for a compensation of what your descendants has gone through, what would you have wished that the the, the Americans or wherever the reparation will be coming from, what should be your request for your people?
Yeah, for me, I think that I will first of all want to pay my compliments to the British, because I believe that if there had not been the British, slavery wouldn't have ended in 1875. And it is through the British that my grandfather was liberated and then finally got his way back to Ghana. So I must give them the compliment. But I think the perpetrators of this act basically were the Dutch, the Americans. They took a lot of our people away. And so I would be advocating for reparation, something that will serve as a cushion to those who never even found their people again. Yes, and that will also support us in a way.
So today we are celebrating Pan-African and emancipation as a result of the freedom to some extent we have. So I believe that this will be dear to you to celebrate this festival. Beyond this, we want to believe that still we don't have the freedom today as we think has been. We are not actually emancipated. So today, I think the whites no longer come here. We willingly go to them. What would you be your advice as you are seated on your throne and you've seen a lot for yourself what is happening around? What would be your advice to people who are out there?
Thank you.
We are talking about mental slavery now.
Thank you very much. I think I agree totally with you that emancipation day is not, we don't see it as total liberation, because whether we like it or not, we are still substitute to the whites, because we go there to borrow money from them. We go there for a lot of greener pastures, and they come here and still exploit us. So that issue of liberation is just like somebody is giving you something from the right and taking it from the left, you know. So we don't have that liberation, and I think it must be looked into.
Yeah. Colleagues, somebody want to? Yes, feel free to ask questions. Yeah. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you for the story.
Thank you.
I'm hoping that one day.
So I appreciate the celebration of the Emancipation Day.
More special as it comes to Upper East.
As it comes to Upper
It's
East.
no longer.
And I would even advocate that it should be the national one should be held in Upper East, because this was where the people were taken away. Most of the people were taken away from Upper East.
Thank you very much.